got a problem. My wife doesn't really know what I do. In the course of about 15 years, I've done a few things. I've helped start an IT company that did IT services and helped keep lights blinking, that backed up important bits and bobs from everyone's computers, from all of our different customers. I've done DevOps, right, where your job is to make a system that gets developer content out into the wild. And at any time, I can be doing one or multiple of these jobs. And so my wife has come to me and she said, I don't know what you do. You work with computers. And is that good enough? Is there something that I could do to help that? And so I'm thinking these thoughts, and I'm playing a game I like called Factorio. Build factories and you mine minerals, and you have to combine all the different aspects of different components together to yield more complex components, and it kind of scales up and up as you need to develop more widgets. And I had a friend of mine that kind of mocked me for it. He's like, why would you play that game? Isn't that exactly what you do, like connecting those systems? But what's interesting is that it took a long time. It's hard to learn IT. It takes practice. It takes putting hands on keyboards and moving things along. But no one really has to teach you Factorio. You just look at it and you look saying, okay, what am I doing? What is the next step that I need to perform? What's slowing me down now towards my goal? And it has this beautiful visual storytelling of what's going on. And so I thought to myself, could I take that concept, that visual storytelling from Factorio, and use some of the tools of my trade to solve Factorio? So any good project should have a goal, right? And I broke ours into 3 different components. 1, let's choose some tools, right? And see if we can actually connect them to Factorio to show why we use tools. Number 2 is, with these tools, can I actually make it do meaningful work, right? Is this just a toy? I mean, it is just a toy, but can I take this thing and actually produce output? Even if it's slow, even if it's not worth it to actually doing. And number 3, can I hit the inflection point, right? Where doing one thing is okay, right? Doing 2 things by hand is okay, but eventually when you hit the 1,000 thing, or you hit the 10,000 or the millionth thing, you hit an inflection point where it's no longer feasible to do it in a manner that's not automated, right? And when do you hit that inflection point? And how do we reason about this thing as we scale up? And so let's start down this road. I started first by doing some research. Factorio supports something called mods, or modifications, that you can make to the game itself that allows you to manipulate certain components, basically add code to the game. And so we can take some code that we've written and add behaviors to the game. In this case, I'm going to add things like creating resources, reading what resources are out there, or updating those resources and how are they configured, how are they operating, or deleting those resources. And those 4 things, CRUD, create, read, update, delete, really make up a lot of common IT systems. And we're going to build it into the game for us. So that's the first part. That part is called the mods, right? Factorio then provides something called remote access command, or a RAC. FutureZach here. This is actually called Archon. Ignore a rack, not a thing. It allows us to interact with the Factorio application externally. It allows us to basically expose levers and widgets that we can interact with and have effect on the game itself. With this, we take the mod we've written that allows us to create and read and update things, and we can expose it externally. But we need to actually take it to our tool. So we're going to use something called Terraform. Terraform is an IT tool that we use to basically generate a laundry list for us of things we want to build and how we want it to be configured. Not only does it let us say, hey, I'd like to build servers with these 3 things in it, or these 100 servers, or I'd like to build these networks. It's meant to glue different systems together. So that ability to work with lots of different systems is going to play to our favor. And then the second piece is that Terraform does this thing called idempotency, right? Where basically we can run the same list of 10 servers or 100 servers or these kind of networks or these type of Factorio resources over and over again, and it will figure out exactly what needs to be deleted, what can just be updated, and what remains to be done. Basically, all we have to do is tell it what we want the end result to be, and it will calculate what's the best way to get to that point, which is really helpful for us knocking this thing out. I think this will be easy. How hard could it be? 5 years ago, Mr. F auction, this kind gentleman, whose name I cannot pronounce, built out a proof of concept, both the Lua module, the module that is part of Terraform that extends the behavior, and the Terraform provider that allows us to hook in. So this gives us two things. It gives us the Lua module out of the box. We don't have to write it from scratch, as well as it gives us a way for us to interact using Terraform to hit those Archon endpoints and to trigger our actions. So let's see what it looks like in practice. All right, so we got some victories here. We can actually make meaningful progress towards our goal. And what on earth does progress look like? Well, for starters, I can run and I can actually execute Terraform commands. So let's say, I'm gonna make Terraform. And you see right next to my player, I had a little something pop up here. What's in here? Oh, there's crap in here. But remember, Terraform is supposed to fix things that get different than how we've specified it. So what happens if I run Terraform make again? Oh, well, look at that. A new chest that's magically full of the items that I just took out. What if I add too many items to this thing? What's going to happen? No, back to exactly how it was. And so we can add items. We can read what's the contents of the items out there, and we can destroy it, right? We've got some of those building blocks that we need out of Terraform. All right, so you saw me run the command, but what is actually happening? Like how are we making that list? And so that list looks something like this. You come into it, and you can see, hey, I've asked for us to create a full chest for us, and I give it coordinates. And if I execute this, it says, hey, here's your chest that you requested inside this module that we called full chest. And when it comes in here, it creates the contents. And if I come back and I modify this, that's where I need it. If I come back and modify this, say, hey, actually, I want you to scooch the chest over one block to the right and one block down. What happens? It gets adjusted over. It's great, I have one. What if I want 100 of these things? So if I loop through this thing and say, hey, I'd like 100 of these, and please add this, I should get a row of 100 of these chests. And now we've got a bunch of chests, all that contain those items that we specified. And to hand load these things would take a long time. Oh, well, not convenient for my demonstration purposes, but still funny. We are ready to expand and start building some more complicated things. All right, so we've created the chest and we can populate it. We can move things with Terraform. We can adjust it when it doesn't match what we'd expect, like making that iron appear after a little while. But we need to scale up. We need to produce resources, and we also need to clarify our goal. One of the big first things in Factorio is developing science, is creating red science. And what red science allows you to do is unlock other more advanced features in Factorio, and it kind of scales up from there on the amount of resources you need to create, the components that it takes, and kind of the cool things that you can accomplish in Factorio. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we create everything that's required for red science as part of our Terraform, that we build a red science factory out of the box. And that we're not gonna cut corners. We'll cut some corners, but not all the corners. We're gonna harvest all the resources that we use. We're gonna build all the components that we need to do. And we're also gonna unlock red science, which makes us create things like circuit boards and inserters and belts and 4 or 5 different components that we're gonna have to make. So we're gonna work through each one of those things, starting with mining some resources. Here we have a situation. We need to build drills and connect all of these drills to belts where they can offload the materials, and we also need to provide fuel for all these drills so that they will actually do the thing. So what we need to do is we come in here, we choose the top location, which would be -4248, and we type it in, -42 and then 48, and we can run this and we'll see what we get. We'll set a height of 30. That seems fine. And if I run it, we get a beautiful row of drills that are preloaded with fuel. All right, so we are happy. So now we need to repeat this. So you can see here, column again, but we need to repeat this, I don't know, maybe 10 more times. Let's see how it goes. Boom. We are officially mining. So now let's do the same thing for copper. There we go. So there it goes. Oh, you see there? So I did collide. Oh, interesting. You see that? I'm actually having some collisions. All right, so I think I'm gonna drop the inserter and the chest function. We just don't need them. And we're just gonna roll this thing right into a furnace. I've got copper furnace and iron working here. Day 3 of this, we've got to get some water and to make electricity because we can't do our assembler machines here unless we hook up our power pole. Okay, it's building a copper farm. It's building out iron. Spiders are not eating my base, which is a good sign. Each one of these just makes sense. So x equals varga x plus 2, 3, 4, 5. It might just be as simple as that. Boom. All right, we now have cog production. All right, so I think I got this. And it should be a fast. I think that's the name of it. Or maybe I should have done a stack inserter, but oh, and let's see if I get it's chugging. Success. I can now make red science. So now is this functioning? These are chooching. And there she is. What a beautiful sight. All right, so now can we do it end to end? If I absolutely destroy absolutely everything, will it rebuild it from scratch? So I haven't seen this yet, but we are gonna try to build it all in one shot. Oh no, my belts have decided. All right, we'll have to come back. I don't know what you think about them, but underground belts are evil. That's all I've got to say right now. All right, attempt 2 at red science in one shot here. Now we're recreating everything. Everything's coming out. So we got boilers, or we got generators, but we don't have any boilers yet. So we need this leg to stand up before much of anything is gonna happen here. Okay, all right, we got steam. And what a beautiful sight. So now when any ore comes in here, it gets split to both my outputs, or both my consumers. That way, if one of them gets backed up, it'll keep feeding iron to the other side, which is perfect because this lane is completely exhausted and I don't want to have to go tweak it. All right, I think we're ready. Look at this, not a thing here. I think it's working. What should we watch? Let's watch mining first. See when stuff actually starts getting. Got some ores, but none of the ores are making it to the furnaces yet. Oh, we got copper making it. Got copper being smelted. And got no power. It's not gonna be able to hop. Oh, we got low power. Okay, we got power now. Some science components making it, but we got no cogs. Let's wait for our cogs to hit. Oh, we're live. Here comes cogs. All right, we're making science. Boom. And we did. And so we can do it. We can make science. We can make this science facility, the lab is what it's called. We can make everything that's required from the raw materials itself, all in one shot with Terraform. And let's think about our goals, right? One, we were able to hook up the technology and we were able to do that. Check number 1. Check number 2, right? Could you do it in a slow fashion in a way that is meaningful, right? Okay, yeah, we could build a complex system and hook it up and use some of the things within Terraform to help us do that, right? The mass production and the configuration of all those items. But number three, could we hit that inflection point? Is this thing actually useful, or is my wife going to think that this thing is a giant waste of time? And the answer is it depends on how much effort you put in and how variable and how subject to drift. If my base was being destroyed like it regularly was, with aliens right coming in and eating parts of my base on a regular basis that I didn't want to have to deal with, it was simply a non-problem for me. I could rerun Terraform. I would just fix anything that had been destroyed and continue on. But at the consequence of that, and at the consequence of kind of that safety of it being up and running, I took significantly longer for me to craft the code in order to produce that Terraform, right? In order to integrate it in with Terraform. And so there was an investment in the Terraform, there's an investment in the Lua module, and there's an investment in that connection logic. And I think that is the big rub, right, with Terraform is your system has to be complex enough to have multiple individuals involved in more than what you want an individual managing and maintaining. And so if this Factorio base were to continue on, if I were to have thousands of work or patches to go deal with, or if I want to have a better understanding of these configurations and not just kind of do it the one time and figure it out and move on, Terraform has a beautiful kind of self-documenting aspect to it. So, my name is Zach Gates. Thank you for solving Terraform with me. So I've got a problem. My wife no longer is confused about what I do. She now thinks I play Terraform.